you go to prison. Level 0. The judge looks down at you. Not through you. Not at you. Down at you. Like you are already somewhere beneath the floor of this courtroom. Like the paperwork in front of him matters more than your face does. And right now, it does. He reads the number. 7 years. The sound of it doesn't hit you the way you expected. You thought it would feel like a punch. Instead, it feels like a door closing somewhere far away. Quiet. Final. The kind of sound you only notice once it's already done. Your attorney says something. The prosecutor says something back. Your mother, sitting 3 rows behind you, makes a sound you will carry for the rest of your life. You don't turn around. You stay very still because moving feels like it might make this more real. And you are not ready for this to be more real. A court officer steps toward you, and just like that, level 0 is over. Level 1. Processing. They take your clothes first. Not aggressively, not with cruelty. That's the part nobody tells you, and it's worse when it's routine. The officer handling your intake looks bored. You are the 14th person he has processed today, and you are not a person to him right now. You are a file. You surrender your wallet, your phone, the watch your father gave you when you graduated high school, your belt. Your shoes go into a plastic bin. Someone hands you a pair of flip-flops. The strip search happens in a small room with a drain in the floor. You don't need the details. What you need to understand is what it does to you. Not physically, but architecturally. Something in how you understand yourself shifts in that room. The part of you that assumed a baseline of dignity, the part that never thought to question it because it was always just there, that part gets quietly renegotiated. Not taken. Renegotiated. You will spend years trying to get it back. You will not get all of it. They give you the uniform. Tan. It fits the way something fits when no one cared how it fit. You put it on. They photograph you. Left profile, right profile, straight ahead. They scan your fingerprints again, even though they already have them. They assign you a number. Over the following weeks, you will notice it gets used more often than your name. You are assigned to housing unit C. Someone walks you there. You carry what they gave you. A thin mattress rolled under one arm, a small bag containing a bar of soap, a toothbrush, a small tube of toothpaste, a plastic comb. This is your property now. This is what you own. The door to the unit opens. 50 men look up. Some look back down. Some keep watching. You walk to your assigned bunk. Top bunk, far wall. And you sit on the edge of it and you look at the ceiling, and outside these walls the sun is setting, and you will not see it go down. That's your first hour. Level 2. Orientation. Nobody sits you down and explains how this works. There is a formal orientation. A corrections officer walks 8 new arrivals through the rules, contraband policy, mail procedures, visitation scheduling, grievance filing. He reads from a document he has clearly read 400 times. You take notes on a small piece of paper because you don't know what else to do with your hands. None of what he says tells you what you actually need to know. What you actually need to know is learned in the first 2 weeks by watching, by making small mistakes, and by a man in the bunk below yours named Marcus, who has been here 4 years and who, on your 3rd night, leans up and says quietly, "Wrong table at breakfast. Move tomorrow. Don't make it a thing. Just move." You move. There are rules about where you sit, about which shower you use and when, about who you speak to and how, about what you do when someone asks you a question you don't want to answer, about what it means to borrow something versus accept something, about the difference between a debt and a favor, and why the difference matters more than anything your attorney ever explained to you. The violence is not constant. That surprises you. The movies got the frequency wrong. Most days are not violent. Most days are profoundly, suffocatingly boring. The tension isn't that something is always happening. The tension is that something could. That possibility never fully leaves. It sits in your chest like a low frequency you can't tune out. A hum. After a while, you stop noticing the hum. That's the part that should scare you. By the end of your second week, you have been assessed. Not formally, but the population around you has taken stock. Where you're from, what you're in for, how you carry yourself when someone steps into your space. Whether you're quiet about it or not, you pass something without being told there was a test. Marcus confirms this by saying nothing at all, which you are beginning to understand is how confirmation works here. You find your footing. It takes 6 weeks. It feels like 6 months. Level 3. Survival. The day starts at 5:30. The lights come on and the noise starts, and those two things together become your alarm clock. By month 2, your body wakes at 5:28. Some primal instinct to not be caught sleeping when the world turns on. Breakfast is at 6. You have a 20-minute window. Miss it, and you wait until lunch. The food is functional. That is the most honest word for it. Caloric. Sufficient by the measurements that matter to the people doing the measuring. Your relationship with food changes here, not because you're starving, but because it becomes one of the only variables in your day you have any access to. A bag of chips from commissary is not a bag of chips. It's one of the few things you chose today. Your work assignment is the kitchen. You report at 7. You prep, you serve, you clean. You are paid 22 cents an hour. You do the math once, and then you make yourself stop doing it because the number is real, and you cannot afford to sit inside that number right now. The social architecture of survival is subtle, and it is total. You don't borrow anything you can't pay back the same day. You don't accept anything without understanding what's being asked for in return. You don't involve yourself in other people's situations unless you have no choice. You don't show fear in ways that invite testing, and you don't show aggression in ways that invite escalation. You walk the center of a road with no painted lines, and you do it every single day without being told where the edges are, because by the time someone tells you, you've already gone over. In your third month, something happens in the yard on a Tuesday afternoon. It's fast. 2 men, a disagreement that had been sitting somewhere for weeks, and then it isn't sitting anymore. It's over in 45 seconds. 1 man goes to medical, 1 man goes to solitary, the rest of the yard goes back to what it was doing. You were standing 12 feet away. You go back to your bunk that night, and you stare at the ceiling and you think about the fact that you have 6 years, 8 months, and 11 days left, and you make yourself stop thinking about it because that math will break you if you do it every night. Level 4. The system. You learn the economy. This is not a metaphor. There is a real economy operating inside these walls, and by month 4 you understand it completely. The commissary is the marketplace. Every 2 weeks you can purchase items. Food, hygiene products, a small radio, using money from your account. Your mother puts $50 on your books every month. You know what that costs her, and you do not take it for granted for a single day. Ramen packets, stamps, mackerel pouches. These are the currency. You pay for things in them. You are owed things in them. The exchange rates are understood and stable. The enforcement of debts is handled internally, and the methods are not gentle. You stay out of debt. You stay out of the lending business entirely. Marcus taught you that in week 1. Phone calls home cost money. A 15-minute call costs more than an hour of your kitchen wages. You call your mother every Sunday anyway. The call goes like this. She asks how you're doing. You tell her you're doing fine. She tells you about the week. You listen. You ask about your little brother Darius. She tells you he's good. He's staying out of trouble. You tell her to make sure he stays that way. The call ends. You walk back to the unit. You have 6 days until you call again. Your girlfriend, Tanya, visits in month 2 and month 3. She sits across from you in the visiting room, and she looks the same, and you feel the distance between you anyway. Not physical distance, the other kind. The kind that accumulates when one person's life is moving and the other person's is not. You hug at the start, and you hug at the end, and you watch her walk back out through the door. And that is one of the harder things. She visits in month 5, then month 7. Then you get a letter in month 9 that you read once and fold and put under your mattress and don't take out again. You file a grievance in month 6 about the temperature in housing unit C. Nothing changes. You note this and you move on because moving on is the only direction you have. Level 5. Time. Here is something nobody can prepare you for. Time does not move the same way here. On the outside, time is directional. It goes somewhere. Tuesday leads to Friday, leads to a weekend with things in it, and the things give the time its shape. Here, the shape disappears. There are days and then more days, and they are structurally identical. And the week is a unit that exists on paper but doesn't feel like anything real. The first month is the longest. The first year is the longest after that. Somewhere in the second year, something more frightening happens. The days start to blur. You stop remembering individual Tuesdays. You remember things by events. The week the heating broke in C Block. The month Marcus got transferred to a facility upstate. The afternoon they found contraband in the unit next door and locked everything down for 11 hours, and you sat on your bunk and read the same page of the same book 4 times without taking any of it in. The letters slow down. Your mother still writes. Every week without fail. A letter arrives and you read it the day it comes and you write back the same night. But the letters from everyone else. The friends who said they'd stay in touch. The cousin who said he'd come visit. The coworker who said it was messed up what happened to you. Those thin out by the end of year 1 and stop entirely by the middle of year 2. They are not bad people. Life moved and you didn't move with it. And eventually the gap gets too wide to keep reaching across. You understand this. Understanding it doesn't make the empty mail days feel different. Tanya stops writing in month 14. You don't get a final letter. The letters just stop. And the silence is its own answer, and you already knew what the answer was going to be. You start reading seriously in year 2. Whatever the library has. History mostly, some fiction. The reading doesn't make the time move faster, but it gives the time somewhere to go, which is not the same thing, but is close enough. You find the weight pile in the yard. You go every morning that weather allows. Your body changes. This bothers some people and clarifies things for you. The yard is one of the few places where the effort you put in directly determines what you get back. That logic feels clean in a way that most of life in here does not. You have 4 years left. You stop counting down, you start moving through. Level 6. Institutionalization. Something shifts in year 3, and it doesn't announce itself. There's no moment you can point to. It's more like waking up one morning and realizing you haven't thought about the outside in 11 days. Not because you've given up, because this has become the thing that feels normal. You know this facility better than you've ever known anywhere. You know the schedule. You know every officer by name, by shift, by temperament, by which rules they actually enforce. You know the rhythms of the population around you. You know when something is about to happen before it happens. You have become, without deciding to, an expert at this environment. One afternoon in the yard, a new arrival, young kid, maybe 20, clearly terrified. sits near you and doesn't know where to look. You tell him the same way Marcus once told you. Wrong table. Move tomorrow. Don't make it a thing. He nods. He moves the next morning. You sit with what just happened. You are Marcus now. You are the person who has been here long enough to teach someone else how to survive it. You don't know how to feel about that, so you pick up your book and you keep reading. The trap is this. The skills that keep you safe in here are not the skills that function out there. The hypervigilance, the reading of every room for threat, the flattening of emotion as protection, the deep distrust of anything that might be taken away. These are adaptations. They are rational responses to where you have been, and they will follow you out whether you want them to or not. You have 2 years left. 2 years feels like something you can see the end of. That is new. That is strange. You sit with it, and it feels less like relief than you expected. Level 7, release preparation. 90 days out, a counselor calls you into her office. Her name is Ms. Reeves. She has a form. She asks about your housing plan. You tell her your mother's apartment. She asks about employment. You tell her you'll figure it out. She writes something down. She tells you about a job readiness program on Thursday afternoons. You sign up. The program is 1 room, 12 men, a volunteer from a nonprofit who comes in with printed resume templates and talks about eye contact during interviews. It is well-intentioned. You take the resume template, you think about the gap on it, 7 years wide, and you take notes anyway because what else are you going to do? You get your GED certificate framed and hung on the wall above your bunk. You got it in year 2. Your mother cried on the phone when you told her. You didn't tell her you cried too after with your face toward the wall. 30 days out, something changes in your body. It's not excitement exactly, it's pressure. A reemergence of the outside as a real place with specific textures. You think about the corner store near your mother's apartment, the specific sound of that neighborhood in the morning, the way the light comes through the kitchen window at a certain time of day. Concrete details, not abstractions. The outside is becoming real again, and the process is disorienting in a way you didn't anticipate. You learn your parole conditions, monthly check-ins with your supervision officer, drug testing, curfew, home by 10 for the first 6 months. No association with known felons, which is complicated because several of the men you've spent 7 years living alongside will eventually get out too. No leaving the county without written permission. Gate money. The state of Georgia will give you $25 upon release. $25. You do the math. You stop doing the math. You call your mother and she tells you she has some money set aside and you tell her to keep it. And she tells you she's not keeping it. And you don't argue because you've learned to pick your battles, and this is not one worth picking. 7 days out, you pack what you own into a single plastic bag. It fits easily. That is its own kind of information. Level 8. The gate. The morning arrives. You wake at 5:28, same as always. Your body doesn't know today is different. You go through the motions because the routine belongs to this place, and today is the last day it belongs to this place. And the strangeness of doing it for the last time arrives somewhere around the 3rd step of your morning and stays with you quietly through all of it. Processing takes 4 hours. Paperwork, more paperwork. A corrections officer returns your property in a clear plastic bag. Your wallet, $43, which is what was left in your account after the gate money was added. Your phone, dead, screen cracked from when it was dropped at intake 7 years ago. The clothes you came in wearing, jeans and a gray hoodie, which fit differently now because you are not the same body that wore them. You change in a small room. The jeans are loose at the waist and tight in legs. The hoodie feels thin. None of this matters. You walk down a hallway you have never walked before because it only goes one direction, and you have not been going that direction until now. The door opens. The air outside is different. You knew people said this, and you assumed it was something people said. It is not something people say. The air is different. It smells like cut grass and exhaust and something you can't name. And it moves without hitting a wall, and you stand in it and you don't move for a moment because you need a moment. No one is waiting. You knew no one would be waiting. Your mother wanted to come. You told her not to. You didn't want her to see you walk out of there. You didn't want that to be the image she had of you. You don't fully understand that decision standing here now, alone in the parking lot outside the facility with a plastic bag and $43, but you made it and you're standing in it. You turn left. Bus stop is a quarter mile down the road. You know this because you asked. You walk toward it. The ground under your feet feels different. There is more of it. That is the only way you can describe it. There is more ground. You sit at the bus stop. A woman with a stroller sits down next to you without looking at you. A teenager with headphones stands nearby. Regular people living a regular Tuesday. You are sitting among them and you are completely invisible. And that is one of the most extraordinary feelings you have ever had. The bus comes. You get on. Level 9. Reentry. Your mother's apartment is the same. The smell of it hits you in the doorway, and something in your chest does something complicated. The couch is the same couch. The photograph on the refrigerator, you, Darius, your mother at Darius's 8th grade graduation, is still there, slightly yellowed at the edges. Darius is 22 now. He moved out 2 years ago. He has a job at a warehouse in Decatur. He calls on Sundays. Your mother makes you food and sits across from you while you eat it and doesn't say much, and you are grateful for that because you don't have the words yet either. She shows you where she set up your room. Your old room cleared out with a new set of sheets and a small desk lamp she picked up somewhere. You sit on the edge of the bed, and the mattress is soft in a way that keeps you awake most of your first night. You start looking for work in week 2. The applications ask the question, have you ever been convicted of a felony? You check yes. You explain in the additional notes field, nonviolent offense, sentence completed, eager to contribute. You don't hear back from 11 of the 14 places you apply. One calls you in for an interview, and the hiring manager is polite and professional, and at the end tells you they'll be in touch. They don't touch. A warehouse on the south side hires you. $8.75 an hour. You report at 6 in the morning. You move boxes. You don't talk much. You are the oldest person on your shift by 8 years and the newest person in the building by several months. And you understand that your position here is provisional in ways that most of your coworkers' positions are not. You check in with your parole officer, a man named Henderson, on the first Thursday of every month. He asks the standard questions. You answer them honestly. He stamps a form. You leave. The meetings take 11 minutes on average. Henderson is not cruel. He is also not interested in you as a person. You are a case number on a desk that has 47 other case numbers on it. You are home by 9:30 every night. You don't go out much. Not because of the curfew, though the curfew is real. It's that the outside is loud in ways that take time to recalibrate to. A crowded restaurant is overstimulating in a way you can't fully explain to your mother when she invites you to dinner for your birthday. You go. You get through it. You take the long way home. You call Darius on a Sunday night in month 3. You haven't spoken much since you got out. A few texts, short ones. He answers on the second ring and you talk for 40 minutes. and it is the best conversation you have had in years. He tells you about his job, about a girl he's seeing, about how he's thinking about taking some classes at the community college. You tell him that's a good idea. You mean it completely. Month 4, you apply at a nonprofit that does reentry services. You saw a flyer at Henderson's office. They're hiring a peer mentor, someone who has been through the system to work with people coming out of it. You apply. They call you in the same week. The interview is the first one where you don't dread the question about your record. They already know. It's why they're interested. You sit across from a woman named Dr. Ferris who asks you what you learned inside, and you answer her honestly, more honestly than you've answered anything in a long time. And at the end, she shakes your hand and says they'll be in touch. They are in touch. You start in 2 weeks. You tell your mother that night. She sits down in the middle of the kitchen and puts her face in her hands. And you sit down next to her and put your arm around her. And you don't say anything because there is nothing to say that the moment isn't already saying. Level 10. The cycle. You are 6 months out. You wake at 5:20 because your body still doesn't know how to sleep past it. You make coffee. You sit at the small desk in your room with the lamp your mother bought and you write for 30 minutes. Not for anyone, just for you. Just to put the days somewhere outside your head. The warehouse job ends in month 5. Cutbacks. You are the last hired and the first let go. You file for unemployment, which you didn't know you were eligible for, and Dr. Ferris helps you navigate the paperwork. The nonprofit job is part-time, but it is yours. You are looking for a second thing. You think about the men still inside. Marcus is 2 years from his release date. You have his mother's address. You write him a letter the same way he never wrote you one, but always showed up in the ways that mattered. You tell him what the first 6 months look like. You tell him it's hard in ways you didn't predict and manageable in ways you also didn't predict. You tell him the air outside is different. You tell him not to let anyone be waiting at the gate if he can help it. That first walk alone is something you need to do for yourself. You seal the letter and put a stamp on it. The statistics are real. 2/3 of the people who walked out of that gate when you did will be back inside within 3 years. Not because they are bad people, because the second sentence is long and the support is thin and the doors that close don't announce themselves closing. Because the system that processes people in is not the same system that catches them on the way out. Because poverty and supervision and the felony checkbox and the housing market and the labor market all push in the same direction, and most people don't have a Marcus or a mother with a couch or a Dr. Ferris who reads a flyer response from a man with a record and picks up the phone. You know which side of the number you want to be on. You are doing the work. You put the letter in your jacket pocket to mail on the way to the bus stop. You put on your shoes. You turn off the desk lamp. You walk out the door. The sentence ended. The cost didn't. The cycle continues.